Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports, where we laugh through the pain. That's exactly what we do. Jim Stam, my co-host, my loyal co-host that continues to show up and continues to go to these baseball games.
Ooh, baby.
My God, Jim. What a week.
Listen, I'm going to start this show off by saying that it might actually shock Pirates fans to their absolute core. It's going to shake the foundation of this fan base. Are you ready? This team might not be very good.
I love it. You're basically like the Asian guys with the rakes from Major League. I love it.
Yes, so that's where I'm at.
Joining us today, returning guest Austin, and I have a brain cramp like my mom trying to say aluminum here. But Austin Aravis.
Yeah.
Aravis.
Yeah.
All right, well, welcome back to the show anyway. Even though I can't pronounce your name, don't feel bad. It's just like the countless Dominican players the Pirates have brought in and never actually turned into a player.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show. So, boy, I told everybody I couldn't really put out topics for this show, and there's a reason I couldn't really put out topics for this show, Jim, because I figured it's just a good day to rant and rave, man. If it was December, I'd call it Festivus. I'm angry. I think the whole fan base is angry. And I just want to lay a base for what I'm kind of most angry about. This team had a gift fall in their lap called Paul Skenes. And they managed to push through another pitcher, Jared Jones, and it kind of made everybody see something that they couldn't see before. We couldn't see it entering last year. Remember, we were really worried about how bad the pitching staff was going to be. And all of a sudden, we've got 2/3 of a pitching staff like nailed down. This team looks like it's taken a jump. All we've got to do is keep hitting at the mediocre pace we've been hitting. Well, the team had the rug pulled out from under them because they didn't expect Paul Skenes to get here that quickly. They didn't expect Jared Jones to get here and do what he did that quickly. And they had no plan for how to adjust to it. They had forecasted out what they were going to do, and they ain't changing. And we're stuck waiting for guys still to develop.
Yeah, you essentially what you've got is you've got no plan, no ability or inclination to adjust from that plan, whatever it is. And then also I think the concern, at least from how I view it, is, man, the Pirates and the way they think is, oh, hey, maybe we're pretty good. We're pretty set. Maybe we don't have to do much. We didn't want to do much in the offseason anyway. So I think, we're pretty good. Let's just stand pat. And no team should operate that way, no matter what, because you just don't know what's going to come. Look at Jones. Look at, some of the other injuries, but specifically Jared Jones. It reminds me, guys, of counting on when you've got like the big three in football, whether that's Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. How many games are you going to get them together? You know what I mean? It's not always just going to work out that way. You better fill in some of the pieces around that. That's my biggest gripe.
That's where I'm at, brother. And Austin, you're a young guy, and to your credit, you followed this as a process. I mean, very early on, very analytical. It's probably got a lot to do with basically what you do for a living. Very analytical. You're looking at the facts and taking it as it is. You're a fan, though. As soon as Skenes came on board and Jones was there, you could just tell that their plan was blown up right then and there, right? Because they had to be ready to change course and kind of, I don't know, support it. But at the same time, they've got a financial plan for how they can fit in these extensions and and keep some pieces together, and they're afraid to break it up or change it. What do you think? What's your take on the current state of baseball? How did we get here? Why are we here?
Well, I think first of all, when you go back to Jared Jones, for example, he wasn't on anybody's radar. I mean, our radar. But when it came to the casual fan, nobody knew who Jared Jones was. And I don't think the management group drafting him in the second round would have ever expected that he'd be up by 22 years old, lighting the world on fire, coming up and making Paul Skenes' debut almost seem hard to match what Jones did. And it put the Pirates in a really good spot last year. It really gave them a strength that we went into last season not knowing what their strength was going to be, and we thought it was maybe going to be the bullpen. It was not. And
understatement.
I mean, when Jones came in, it was just lighting the world on fire, and we were super excited. And I think Cherington and the group just saw it and thought, "Oh, look at us! We did a great job here. We built this awesome rotation. We just got to hope our players improve." And that's all they did. They didn't seem to do anything. I mean, I think their offseason, I've said this for a while, that their offseason 2 years ago was probably the best offseason they had, the year they brought
2023.
in. Well, I think, yeah, it was that the year they brought in Santana and Choi and all those other guys. Yeah, that seemed like the most offense they brought in out of any of their years here. And they just, whether it's because the rest of the payroll climbed restriction-wise, or they just don't know what they're doing, which it's probably both. But I mean, it put them in a bad situation for this year, but I don't think we're lost like years forward, but I think this year's we're starting to get close to a loss here.
Yeah, like I'm seeing people in the chat, like Dave White, talking about let's see, very unpopular, going to need to fire everyone and rebuild, starting with trading Skenes. Let's see. Douglas Smith said he'd be okay with that, except the idea of a decent GM will be in charge. Let's see. Greg agrees Dave might be right. I don't think any of you are right. I'm just going to say it right now. I think they could hire a new GM, and I think they could tweak some things. But I don't think it's going to be a blow up. I just think the pitching here and coming is too strong to do something that stupid. Even a new GM wouldn't do that. And there's ways they can trim payroll and still capitalize on what they're strong with. Like they could trade Mitch Keller, never encounter that $20 million part of his contract, backfill it with Bubba Chandler and Thomas Harrington, Hunter Barco, and get bats with Mitch Keller. He'd net bats. He's a good number 3. You know what I mean? There's ways they can restock the basement. And we're not done with kids growing. Termar is going to be here next year at some point, probably. Gonzalez will come back. Horwitz could be good. I'm not discounting that this team could actually turn around. I just don't think they're coached well enough, Jim, to make it matter.
Yeah, I think Austin mentioned something, it's close this year to the whole if you start looking at the record that they would have to play out the rest of the year to get to 85 wins, it's pretty unrealistic. So yeah, you can pretty much, I hate to say it, unless something really weird happens, they're probably not going to be in any kind of a conversation for competing this year, clearly. But to go to Gary's point, I agree. Look, everybody's upset, but to turn the keys on at the same time here and just implode everything after you've had X number of starts from Paul Skenes in his career, and Jared Jones coming back, Bubba Chandler on the way. We know the other pitching that's here. Look, blowing it up, you guys should know what that means. You should know what that means and how long
it means that your contracts are all towards the end. Your arbitration's almost maxed out on everyone. That's not where we're at.
I think if you really sit down and think about it and take the emotion out of it, you don't want that for a lot of reasons. And
impossible. It's erroneous. No one can take the emotions out of that.
It will. You need to, because that's a serious undertaking, and we know what that looks like here in Pittsburgh.
I understand the feeling, though, and we do need to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about more of this and do Call Your Shot.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I don't know what we would do without commercials, because Jim and I get our nicotine fixes during those commercials. And without that, we would just yell a lot more. I'm really glad that we calmed down.
It's the only thing keeping me going, Gary.
Yeah. So I think we should start with Call Your Shot, because it's probably the next logical place for us to go anyway.
Hey guys, we back. Another sad day here as a Pirates fan. Wore my Skenes jersey today for Skenes Day. No luck at all. But hey, 12-20. This week's Call Your Shot winner is so I bet you how everyone's feeling right now. It's from our boy Matt Larkin, MJ Lark 07. He says, if this horrible continues, do you think we'll see a change of coach, GM, or both by the All-Star break? All I know is, if nothing changes, I think we're all going to be rooting for the curve by All-Star break. Gary, Jim, thanks for showing up to work today. I know Shelton has some other plans. Probably why we lost today, but what do you guys think? Are those guys out if we keep this up? Or we have to deal with this all season? See you, boys.
Changing the game, spitting that flame. His name is I got that Pittsburgh sound, and I'ma always hold Pittsburgh down.
Oh, I love the question, Jim. Wow.
I
knew it was
love
coming. Somebody was going to ask it.
I love Taylor's energy, because I think that is the fan base right now.
He was
which
melancholy
is
as hell.
oh
right?
man, it's like everyone's dog just died for the 37th year in a row here in Pittsburgh.
Let's let Austin take this one first. Austin,
All right.
will they fire either or both by the All-Star game if things don't change? And define things don't change.
No, I don't think they're going to. I think history would first back me up on that. I looked it up earlier. The last time the Pirates fired a coach before September was 1957, and they fired him August 3rd. Bobby Bragan in 1957. Wow. So
well, he deserved it. That guy was a real bum. I never heard of him.
But I mean, that's just not how they operate here. You know, they like to ride their stuff out to the end of their tenure, especially giving Shelton the kind of money. We don't know exactly what he got, but the fact that he even got an extension in the first place, they're going to ride it out at least through this year.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. It would have to be catastrophic. I mean, I think if they finished, I don't know, if they were 15 games under 500 at the All-Star break, they might still let them ride it out. They'd have to be 30, 40 games. And even then, it's just not a move I see them doing. There's a lot more things I think they would do, like DFAing players earlier than we're used to before we do a manager change, a GM change. I think maybe having a shorter leash on some of their veteran players that aren't playing very well might be an alternative they would take to, but I still don't think we're going to see that for at least a few months. So,
yeah, I mean, Jim, I don't think it's about money. I always say that because of how much they ate to get rid of Neil Huntington and Clint Hurdle and that whole crew. So I know that he'll make the move if it's the right thing. That was in season technically, but late season. For the All-Star break, I think there's a lane for Shelton. I don't think there's a lane for Cherington. And the reason I don't think there's a lane for Cherington is, first of all, the draft's coming up, and the draft has already been sorted. And even if he doesn't make the pick in spirit, he's making the pick. So there's really no reason to worry about that. His team is making the pick one way or another. So I just don't see them trying to shake that apple cart too much in the season. Plus, who are you going to hire in the middle of the season to be your general manager? You're going to have to do a whole search. That's an off-season thing. I think a coach could happen, though. And I think, if anything, Donnie Kelly probably gets a little bit of an audition today by accident, but it's not much different, is it? Pinch hit the last batter of the game for like absolutely no reason whatsoever, really. I'm not sure what Joey Bart was going to do. Hit a 7-run home run there with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and he called on Kyle Nicholas, which everyone and their mother would have said Shelton was an idiot for, especially the guy on Facebook that told me that they should fire Shelton, hire Don Kelly. What an idiot move bringing Nicholas in today. That was the best laugh I had of the entire day.
Well, listen, I think Cherington's not. I don't foresee that happening. I just start to do basic math on anything that can be done at this point if it continues to slide, and Derek Shelton kind of falls in that category at some point. I would, for no other reason, do it just simply because I'm actually starting to feel sorry for him. It looks like it's time to, when old Yeller is sick and dying, sometimes you just got to put him out of his misery, even if you don't have the new dog picked out yet. I think you could see it. I don't foresee it being anything that happens in May or June. But if they get to July and August and this thing is really, really, devolved further than it is, I think you could see it. Will it make any appreciable difference? No, they just don't have the answers on the field right now. But I think you could see it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I really worry, though, Austin. It just doesn't look like Derek Shelton has answers. I don't feel like he ever takes real accountability. There's always the answers that drive me the most insane are, we really thought we had a good lane there. That's why we went with him. Well,
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a mixed opinion on all of this with Shelton, because on one hand, I think Shelton is not, like you said, I don't think he does a great job at all of ever portraying to the media, to the fans, anybody, that he seems to know what he's doing. I mean, after a game, it's always, we have to do better at this and we have to do better at that. And I'm just getting sick of it.
I'm sorry. I have to put this up. Dave White.
I saw
this laugh
too.
I had today is that Honey Boo Boo's Mama June moved into my neighborhood. Dave White.
That is pretty. That's hard to beat, actually. Dave, thank you for sharing that.
Dave, thank you so much. And Austin, I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
That's
that
okay.
was breaking news, and I wouldn't have been doing my job.
No, that's great. But yeah, with Shelton, I think he's got so much that he could be doing better to make this team improve. Do I think Shelton's the reason we're not a 500 team? Absolutely not. I mean, and that's where it comes down to me for the whole firing timeline here. It just doesn't make too much sense to me that I'd love to see the conversation that happens between whether it's Nutting and Cherington if Shelton would get fired, and say, look, Bob, I mean, Tommy Pham, Derek Shelton's not letting Tommy Pham hit 250 or 260. He's not getting enough out of these guys that he brought in, the Alexander Canarios and these guys that they keep trying in the outfield. That's 5 in a row now that just aren't even replacement level hitters. And
how would you know they are if they get 4 at bats every 7 days?
Exactly. Canario being up here
here's a good
once
one.
a week is terrible.
Horwitz is batting 125 with a 425 OPS in Altoona. He's played 2 games.
And I don't think he struck out once. I saw he was hitting line
Get out my
drives to the
chat.
outfield.
Get
I
out
mean,
my chat, fool.
come on.
Come on now. Don't ruin the show with dumminess.
Austin, the only thing I will say about Shelton is like the things he could be better at in control, he just hasn't done that.
And I agree.
So that's where I've kind of flipped the switch, because I've always been a very matter of fact guy in the sense I would say Derek Shelton has been shopping, or Cherington's been shopping at the dollar store, and Derek Shelton is supposedly going to make a 5-star meal out of it. It's not going to happen. But at some point, the things he can control, just don't think it's been there. The consistency, the bullpen management has been bad at times, awful at times.
Let's try it this way. Do you think this team is better than its record? Do you think the sum of the parts is better than the record? Be real with yourself. Go around the lineup and talk about who you would genuinely get rid of right now if you had, replacements for them.
It's a fair.
I'm saying if
it's
you
a fair,
went around,
it's a fair question.
You go to catcher. Bart's been fine. You want Bart. Kutch has been a great DH. You're not getting rid of Reynolds. You're not getting rid of Cruz. IKF's been pretty darn good. Right? Ryan Hayes is even hitting singles, playing good third base. You can at least say he's a major league player. He's certainly not a problem. He's just not hitting home runs. You'd obviously rather have power. First base, we have no idea what that's going to turn into. And Valdez has been pretty good, at least as far as offense goes. Pham sucked. Frazier has been better than we thought, but still not good enough, right? But is that team, should that be better than 12 and 20? Because if your answer isn't yes to that, why are you talking about the coach?
I think the little things, though, that we've always seemed to talk about with Shelton. Now, granted, I don't know how much he controls the setting of that everyday lineup and the consistency in it. The standard of like having someone saying, guys, it's just flat out not acceptable to keep making the mistakes we make in the field, on the bases, the lack of effort a couple times here and there. I just think that those things there's managers you wouldn't dare pull that on. Derek Shelton is not that kind of guy. So that's where I tend to like focus on, because those are like the things that I think if they're not controllable, then that's an indictment on him anyway. So that's where I go with it, if that makes sense.
I look at like this Mike Sullivan situation where he got fired by Kyle Dubas basically because like Kyle Dubas realizes he's going to have a younger team and he needs somebody that is going to be willing to understand sometimes what I need you to do isn't necessarily going to look like you're trying to get a win that night. And Sullivan was just not that coach anymore. He was at one point when he came in and onboarded all those kids that won the Stanley Cup. But after that, well, he just wanted to win. And he wanted to win every night. And he didn't care to play Valerie Puustinen, on the third line over an 8-year veteran that he thought was going to give him a better chance to win. I think the Pirates are in the opposite situation. They had a guy who was willing to go along with the program, and he did go along with the program. And now they need somebody that wants to make it about winning and understands what making it about winning means. It means more consistent lineups. It means playing your best players every day, even if they get tired. It means doing things differently. Shelton's finally doing that, and one of two things is true. Either it took Shelton a really long time to wear his balls on the outside of his jock strap, or it took Ben Cherington way too long to give him the ability to do so, or Ben Cherington changed his mind finally.
Yeah, and that's the thing we don't know, right? We always don't know that part, especially in today's baseball world with how much the front office and the GMs and that part of it gets involved on the managerial side. So I think a lot of these older managers don't want anything to do with it. The way the game is done today, I guess, like, when I look at it in totality, I've never sat there and thought, man, the Pirates are getting more out of what they have than they should. I don't know that I've ever been able to say that since Derek Shelton's been here. So at some point, I just think it's the next logical step. He'll be a sacrificial lamb, but so was Andy Haynes, apparently.
Austin, what do you believe is the root cause for players like Tommy Pham or even Rowdy Tellez last year just getting opportunity after opportunity to play through things as though they have some kind of a track record for playing through those things?
I think lack of better options, first of all, would probably be a big factor in it. I mean, I looked up and down today's lineup, and I understand that they're playing the matchups in quotes each game. You know, when we have a lefty on the mound against us, you know you're going to see Triolo out there. You're going to see one of the right-handed outfielders, which I guess that's all they have right now. And when you see a righty, you're going to see Frazier, you're going to see Valdez, you're going to see these guys. But in a lineup like today, when Davis is going to catch Skenes, and you have Canario out there with a sub 400 OPS, you have Triolo out there with a sub 450 OPS. Davis had one as well, and he ultimately rose it today at over 500. So we can all celebrate that one. But
big win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you have those three guys in your lineup every day, or not every day, but if you face three lefties in a row, you're going to see the majority of those guys. But yeah, seeing Tommy Pham play every day over a guy like, I mean, I'm not exactly confident Matt Gorski's going to be an everyday MLB player, but just I'd like to see it first. I'd like to be proven wrong. I know what Tommy Pham is. I don't need to see anything else from him. And yeah, the Rowdy Tellez experiment was, I mean, this is just that all over again. And it was,
this is actually worse. Statistically, this is even worse.
And I think what happened to Rowdy Tellez last year was probably the worst thing that could have happened for this team, because I think they are fully expecting the exact same thing's going to happen with Tommy Pham. And I have no confidence that that's going to ever happen with him. I mean, he's not even a power guy. He's playing in a park that's, going to handcuff him from hitting home runs.
Something that he should get in, right?
Yeah, and I just Rowdy going on that miracle June-July run last year is not going to happen with Tommy Pham. And if they're believing in that, I mean, I don't doubt it.
And can we just say, Tommy Pham's a jerk. He's a jerk. And I just saw him the other day chirping at somebody again in the outfield. Dude, don't turn around and look at anybody in the outfield and have anything to say. You can't hit your way out of a wet paper bag right now. You should be embarrassed to turn around and interact with someone. They have as many home runs as you do, dude. So focus on what you need to do until the Pirates tell you to go kick rocks, which will probably be in August. But regardless, he was a bad signing. He's a bad fit. I don't think he's a good dude, and I'm pretty much tired of seeing him out there and his little attitude. He's not a guy that I ever wanted here, and he kind of makes my skin crawl every time I have to see him. So that's just where I'm at with it.
Right, and at the same time, like, almost as though we needed a shining example of proof that we weren't trying to be biased here. We both preached against Adam Frazier almost more. And he's done well enough that we're at least shutting our mouths about him, right? I mean, he's playing real good defense. No, I can't take anything away from the way he's played second base. He's been great. I think probably better than Nick was at second base. But that doesn't make up for everything else. He still can't hit.
Right, and you could at least make an argument, which I couldn't at the beginning of the year, that Adam Frazier, if he was just like a a fringe end of the bench guy that he could be on a baseball team. I wasn't even making that argument. I think you could at this point. Problem is he's had to play 95% of the games, or they've chosen to play him 95% of the games. So yeah, it really it comes down to Shelton doesn't have enough good players, but at the end of the day, I would just, I'd hate to say make a change for the sake of making change, but I would try it.
I will say, Austin, no matter who you credit with it, whether it was Kutch speaking up or growth, personal growth, or whatever, there does seem to be an effort to play their better players, at least their perceived better players, every day. We've been preached to for the better part of 3 years now that Kutch can't play every day, and Kutch can't do this, and Kutch can't do that. He's playing, he's hitting. So there's another thing that they were either way wrong on, because Kutch has openly said he wanted to play all along. So they were either openly wrong on that for a couple years, or they, for some reason, didn't want to. They were so bought into that rest idea that they stole from the NBA and tried to bring to the Major League Baseball that they screwed themselves out of wins for 2 or 3 years now with it. I'm not saying they were going to the playoffs, but they also didn't have to be as bad as they were if they would just have adopted this play your best players. Oh, and by the way, maybe some of them have some valuable experience by now and they're actually playing better.
Yeah, I can't believe that we got to this point where they finally started doing the consistent lineup. And
it's
insane that it's taken this long. We had a team that was 20-8 last year, and they weren't doing this. Like, they were in prime position to win. And I think it comes back to what you were saying earlier about how they just weren't prepared. They weren't prepared to be winning, and they fell off a cliff. I mean, they were playing inconsistent lineups, and they couldn't hit. And it was just, and I know the lineup, you know. It's not as big of a, you know, not playing Kutch once a week isn't going to cost you, 10 wins a season or something like that. But, when you have a big spot coming up and you have a guy like Canario hitting 097, hitting 6th in your lineup. I mean, we had that all last year with guys like Tellez hitting cleanup, and it just, I don't know.
He shouldn't be hitting cleanup. I agree with you entirely. I just put absolutely no credence in his batting average. I don't know what that kid is until I see him play multiple games in a row, at least once or twice. That's my biggest complaint with those. Like, even Henry Davis right now. Today on the broadcast, they're talking about his average. I'm like, he ain't played in a week.
Yeah.
He hasn't played since the last time Paul Skenes pitched.
I like what I've seen from Davis this year, defensively especially. I think
defensively he's way superior to Bart.
I mean, we would have never guessed this 2 years ago when we saw him come up and play right field. I mean, it was, this guy's never going to stick a catcher, but he'll hit. And now it's just, he's probably the best defensive catcher on the team. I mean, it's probably without a doubt. And now he can't hit. I mean, can he? We don't know. Everything in the minors has shown he can hit. College he hit. I mean, it's just, they don't have a path to him playing. And, maybe they should have explored that differently in the offseason with Joey Bart changing positions. Maybe they should have changed. I mean, I don't know there should have been a different conversation this offseason. And if they weren't going to get him consistent at bats as a number 1 overall pick, I mean, there had to be an alternative somewhere else on the table for a trade with, whether it was Rodriguez, whether it was, I don't know. Nothing's lining up here. And this is what I mean with, you finally have a spot to give your number 1 overall pick a roadmap to play way more consistently. And they decide to go the consistent lineup route where he just rides the bench 6 out of the 7 days a week. And it's hard to complain because Joey Bart's hitting. So it's not like,
it's not like that's a mistake either.
Yeah.
But Jim, I mean, what do you do here? I mean, how do you onboard kids if you won't let them play?
Well, they seem to they swing wildly at times, all of a sudden now it is the consistent lineup. And let me go back to the Kutch thing, because it is odd, the timing of all this, right? Like, Kutch kind of said a couple things that were like eyebrow raising or just flat out saying it. And then all of a sudden those things changed. First of all, I give Kutch some credit. I wish he would do a little bit more of it. I feel like if there's one person on that team that can get away with it and embarrass them a little bit into doing something that he would like to see, it's Andrew McCutcheon. What are they going to do to him?
I think you always listen to the person who's the most quiet, because when they actually talk, it has impact. And I think that's why when Kutch doesn't talk an awful lot, it has a lot of impact when he does.
Yes, and he's got weight, right? The Pirates, they'd be in a tough spot if Andrew McCutcheon just started being a little more cranky and said what he felt, because people are going to listen to him. So I give Kutch credit for that. This is look. This organization is so funny because they get so involved with the process that they never seem to think about winning during any of it. And to like, the process isn't the winning. Eventually it has to be winning. Like, it can't just keep being process. And that's what they did when Jones and Skenes fell in their lap. They just were like, well, it's just the process. We are doing. We've got the long-term approach here. It can't work that way all the time. It cannot.
You're right. Let's take another break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about angry stuff that we have to deal with. And there's some good stuff too that we should probably touch on, Jim. Some good things are actually happening, believe it or not.
And can we talk about Paul Skenes, and everybody just needs to chill the F out?
I totally agree with you there.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. And you don't have to wait for us to ask for a call your shot. You can just send your call your shot whenever you want during the week. Just hit @Yins and then @Jim or I, or at the Pirates Fan Forum, or even Austin will make sure we get it. Who cares? Just send your questions in so we don't have to beg for them every week, because we want good ones.
And we know you guys got them. There's plenty right now. The Pirates stink. You might as well get some free swag out of it. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about some good things first before we get into the Paul Skenes thing. First, David Bednar looks to be the David Bednar of old. Everything's landing again. The fastball is going where he wants it. He looks much more in charge. I was very worried after they brought him into that blowout game that it was going to screw him up. But he came out in that last game and really shut it down, that 4-3 victory. What do you think, Jim? You were worried.
Yeah. I mean, anytime a guy seemingly hits rock bottom, and I think we can all agree that he looked like he was at rock bottom. And he came up in the other day, and I think he gave up a triple and so on and so forth. But listen, for the most part, the stuff has looked better. It's looked good. It's got some end of the pitch life on it, the action. He's dropping the curveball in. He's doing the things that made him successful before. I only hope it continues, but this is as encouraging of a, I don't want to call it start, but 2.0 of David Bednar as I think you could hope to see.
Austin, what about you? Pretty rare to see a guy turn things around when he hits rock bottom like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see. I was out in LA last week watching them play the Dodgers and the Angels, and that first game of the series, they brought him in the ninth, and I was just like, oh my, like this is his real test, you know.
You had some California sweaty palms out there, huh?
Yeah, it was great. It was really good to see. That Dodgers game specifically was pretty awesome to see, especially Bednar coming in the ninth. And just after Skenes mowed them down the whole game, you know, you get a test against a real lineup like that.
Now,
And go ahead.
no. Also, what I was going to say is like, so you saw Bednar in LA against the Dodgers. Now, tell me, when as Pirate fans, when they place you in the janitor's closet there, do they give you a live feed, or are you just hearing the game, or how do they do that whenever the Pirates fans are there? Because you're what, like it's on the Titanic, right? You're on the third, you're below deck, right? So are they treating you okay out there? How did all that go?
I mean, honestly, I got a little bit of not hostility, but as being a Pirate fan out there, everybody was saying, "Oh, you got a lot of nerve wearing a Pirates jersey out here," and I'm like, what do we have to make you guys upset? Like we don't do anything.
You
We
should be
stole
buying
Clemente
me.
like 70 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, like I went with my brother and my dad, and they were wearing their Stargell jerseys, and we went out and checked out the Stargell sign out there, and people were looking at us kind of. I don't know. I mean, nobody gave us real heck, and we definitely met some Dodger fans out there, and I think this all comes back to as well. This kind of leads into the. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but with the Paul Skenes stuff, just hearing from Dodger fans and Angel fans too about how much like they envy a guy like Skenes, and how much they wish they had it. They wish they had Paul Skenes. That tells you everything you need to know about a team that has everything and still wants a guy like that. Just how lucky we are here to have.
You mean he doesn't suck after his 5-inning, 3-run outing today?
Yeah, Austin, clarify those comments, because it sounds like you still think Paul Skenes is good, and we know after today that he is not. So clarify.
I mean, he's for sure out of the Cy Young race. I saw that today.
I mean, Jim, you might be able to
DFA territory.
You might be able to contradict me here, Jim, because you saw it with your own eyes today. You got to see washed Skenes up in front. 3 homers in an inning, 3 walks in an inning. He's done. He'll never come back to glory. But
God.
Oh no, I was gonna say I seeing Skenes strike out, how many guys he struck out from that Dodgers lineup live and in person last week in Dodger Stadium. That crowd was quiet when those guys were striking out. They were just as oohed and awed as you guys probably were watching on TV. I mean, they gave him a standing ovation as he walked off the field. Like they were just as amazed that this guy was down there. I mean, we shut them out, and that's just what I would have never imagined, that we'd go in there and shut down that Dodgers lineup. Ohtani looked foolish on some of those pitches from Skenes, and it was just
we haven't
awesome.
had special here very often.
No.
And when we do get special here, it feels to me like the fan base doesn't know how to recognize it. And part of it, Jim, is the bitterness of knowing they're probably not going to get to keep him. I think that stuff all kind of bleeds in, because it feels to me like, as a Pittsburgh Pirate, the better you are, the more hate you get. O'Neal Cruz gets loaded with it. The first misstep that I saw from Paul Skenes ever, really, today, 3 home runs in 1 inning and 3 walks in 1 inning that he somehow escaped. A 5-inning, 3-run effort from this guy is end of the world, hair on fire. Oh my God, the league's figured him out.
Overrated even, I saw.
Dude, it's, to me, you've taken your people did this to Garrett Cole too. They talked about how he never really was good here, and he never didn't play well until he got to Houston because he didn't like playing here. No, he was just evolving. And Doug says fan base is very broad. Yes, Doug, I'm talking about social media. I'm sorry. Social media sucks. But it's the fan base that is loudest right now. So that's what we're talking about. When you see Paul Skenes, though, like getting treated like that online right away for 3 runs, Jim, 3 runs. And then you compound it with knowing this team isn't going to spend a lot of money. I just don't understand why we want to spend 5 or 6 years bracing ourselves for something by hating people so that our feelings aren't hurt whenever it happens.
Yeah, there's some self-fulfilling prophecy stuff going on here, I think. as far as some of that. Oh boy, here we go again. Not only do the Pirates stink, Paul Skenes isn't what he was cracked up to be. Man, can we just not be prisoners of the moment, like constantly, with things? Paul Skenes is human, just like everybody else. And if you really thought Paul Skenes was going to go his whole career with a 1.96 ERA that he had last year, you're insane. It wasn't going to happen. Like no one has pitched at that level for their entire careers. And to that point, I went and I was like, let me go look at some of the greatest names in the game for at least from Gary and I's generation. Austin, you may have to put new names in here, but you will know them nonetheless.
So this is like right after the moon landing.
Right. This is a Warren Spahn update. No, I'm going, hey, Randy Johnson, you know his career ERA is? 3.29.
That's pretty darn good.
Roger Clemens, career ERA, 3.13. Nolan Ryan, career ERA, 3.19. Pedro Martinez, career ERA, and he was an alien because he was 5'6" and 103 pounds. 2.93, really impressive. Paul Skenes this year has a 2.74 ERA. Can you just relax a little? He's fine. Stop it.
Well, there's the other side of this too, where people want to pretend that the Pirates are poisoning everybody they touch too. If you really feel that way, again, I'm asking, like, why are you asking for the coach to get fired? Because if you think the players are that bad, like the pitching staff is good. The people coming up, pretty good. The people coming, you should be excited about. I'm excited about it. And somehow that onboarding is going to have to happen, Jim. And I don't know how that happens. If right now isn't the opportunity to get those kids up here, if I'm this front office, here's what I do. Let's palate cleanse this a little bit. Because we always talk about what we're angry about. Let's talk about what we would do. What's a message you could possibly save yourself with? You come out and go, look, we done screwed up, but we're going to fix some things here. And you DFA Tommy Pham, and you bring up whoever you want. I don't care. Nick York, Billy Cook, somebody like that. Solak, whatever. Try whatever you're going to try. Get somebody else up here. Call up Bubba. Hell, call up Harrington. I don't care anymore. Put Heaney in the pen. Get moved on to the kids and get started with what you got. Get the onboarding out of the way this year so that next year you can go in knowing what you got from that group. And then augment it this offseason and promise to do so. You're going to create depth that you can move by doing this. You'll be able to find out if you're okay without Keller. And if you're not, you better be okay without Falter. You're going to have to make decisions like that, but decisions they won't be prepared for because they're going to slow walk these kids like there's no urgency whatsoever to win.
Back to the process, right? You just keep pushing it down the road till the process figures it out. Well, in that process, Skenes gets another year under his belt that's gone, and so on and so forth. So, but Gary, to your point, I think what they need to do is just look, you've got the pitching either here or right near here, right? You've got that set up. That is what we know and can, I'd say, count on, because you just never know with arms. But you're going to have to get aggressive, even if it means moving somebody that you don't necessarily want to, just in the name of trying to get some wins coming now. And when I say that, I'm talking either at the trade deadline or in the off season. For God's sakes, can you just be aggressive once on something? Just once. That's
it would be funny, like almost no matter where they are in the standings, Austin. It would be smart of them to be aggressive at the deadline and do some things to set themselves up for next year so that they're not playing in the same pool as everyone else.
Yes.
And you might even be able to sneak attack somebody at the deadline because nobody expects you to be a player.
Yeah, I think to start having Chandler. I mean, Chandler's pitching right now, and I think I just read he has 50 pitches, 4 innings, and struck out 8 already.
Yeah,
I mean,
no hitter going into 4. Yeah,
he's dominating, and I think we'll see him this month. I mean, I think they probably will be aggressive enough with him that we see him before the end of May. I don't know if it'll be. I mean, it might be 2 weeks from now. It might be. I mean, that lines up well. I mean, Skenes started on the 11th last year. I mean, there would be the 11th again this year if Chandler would line up.
But
yeah, we've been saying this for a while, and I think this circles back to these guys that are probably going to end up getting fired if this team's. I mean, it might, like we said, it might not be in the middle of the season, but if this team's well below average, I mean, Cherington's group deserves to be fired and not blowing everything up because this team is. I mean, we've said it for years now. They're 2 bats away in a good offseason from probably being a competitive team. If they could get 2 competent hitters to complement the rest of their lineup, they've got the pitching, they've got a Cruz, a Reynolds, a Bard, a Hayes. They've got all the building blocks of a good team. They're just missing 2 things and maybe a competent manager. And they can turn this around.
Let me ask this to both of you, okay? Either of you answer first. Let's say the Pirates took a big swing this offseason, and to me, the biggest swing in our division was Kyle Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
He's changed the division the most. I think he's given the Cubs competent championship leadership they've desperately needed for a long time on that team. And it was a risk because they don't know if they can extend him. They could have spent an awful lot in prospect capital just to get a guy for 1 year, right? Now, if they win the division and they win a playoff game, nobody will care. It's a win, right? But the Pirates could have done that. He was affordable even for them this year. They could have made that trade. It didn't even take any top 100 prospects. You know what I mean? They could have pulled that off. Get Kyle Tucker in here. How many more wins does this team have?
I'd say at least 5. And that sounds ridiculous, but I mean, the amount of times that Tommy Pham has come up in a big situation and hit into a double play or struck out when all we need him to do is get a sac fly, or all we need him to do is move a guy over. And you look at Tucker's stats, I mean, he's one of the best in the entire league. I mean, he changed that entire lineup. And that's why another thing with Skenes today too. I mean, he didn't give up 3 home runs in an inning to the 2024 White Sox. I mean, this Cubs team's probably, if they're not top 3, I mean, they might be the top offense in all of baseball.
They are right now.
And
I think they've scored the most runs in baseball. This is
right.
not a team that's fluking their way through it.
Right.
But Jim, what do you think? Like Tucker on this team, how many more wins do they have? And I'm asking because I keep hearing like we're only a bat or 2 away, and I can see it positionally. You know, I look around and I think, well, if I had a good hitting first baseman and a good hitting left fielder, I think I would feel a lot better about things, right? So Kyle Tucker certainly fits that bill. Be a great outfielder for this team. How many more wins would they have? They wouldn't be 12-20. They'd be.
I would say at least 3 wins. And I mean, you start doing the math on 3 more wins and 3 less losses. You're right where you want to be in the sense of staying afloat, hoping to get Jared Jones back, hoping that Spencer Horwitz can add some stability, hoping that Gonzalez can get back in there, and you've at least not buried yourself in too deep of a hole. I would say that I don't even go with Kyle Tucker, only because I'm thinking if you just bothered to get 2 or 3 competent bats.
Don't get ahead of yourself. I got another question for you.
Okay.
Because I can do this for you. I had this planned out. Kyle Tucker was first one. You say 5, you say 3. Okay. They don't get rid of Connor Joe and never bring in Pham. How many more wins do they have?
Well, which Connor Joe is it? The second half of last
It's
year,
Connor
Joe.
Jim. It's
Well,
Connor Joe.
Connor
You
Joe
take
hit.
what you get with Connor Joe. I'm asking you right now. They're 12-20. Where would they be if they had Connor Joe instead of Tommy Pham?
I'd say 13 and 19.
Yeah,
I don't think
probably.
he adds much at all, other than maybe he comes up with a clutch hit. I mean, he could have hit a walk-off just like Tommy Pham did.
I think he's substantially better than Tommy Pham. And I think if they gave him as many at-bats as they gave Tommy Pham, I bet he has double the production. And I'm not sure what that does in wins, but I bet he has double the production. I bet he's hitting in the 250s, and I bet he has 2 or 3 home runs by now. That's Connor Joe early season. We've watched it every single year. So I asked, how did you actually downgrade that position? Like, you actually downgraded that position. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why I say it that way. Kyle Tucker, we're saying, could have gotten you 3-4 more wins. You could have spent $1.5 million less and kept Connor Joe and not brought in Tommy Pham, and the team would have been better in our estimation.
Yeah.
That is fireable, my friends. Fireable. More than anything else I've ever said on this show.
I'd even argue that I might have even liked De La Cruz over. I mean, I hated seeing De La Cruz come up there last year, but I mean, Tommy Pham has no opportunity at any point in the game for me to ever feel confident he's going to give me a game tying homer or a go ahead shot. Or, I mean, De La Cruz struck out, 90% of the time he was up here, but I mean, he had a chance to hit a home run that could mean something. And Connor Joe had clutch hitting ability that sometimes came up big for them and gave him an extra win.
Look, missed the point alert. No, I'm not pining for Connor Joe. I'm making a point that they're so stupid they couldn't even keep a scrub that was better than a new scrub they went out and got. That's all I'm saying.
And paid $4.5 million to scrub it up.
Jeez.
Bottom line is,
what has he done so far? He's in AAA with a 240. I still think he's better than Tommy Pham. That's how bad I think Tommy Pham is.
Yeah, the bottom line too is like, the reality is you can't have 3 or 4 black holes in your lineup, right? Like, even if you have anybody that can competently hit major league pitching. But we know what this is. They've got those 2, 3, 4 holes in the lineup every game. And when you don't hit for power, there's no way to get the runs around. There's no way to do it in today's game. Even if you stink out loud at doing a lot of things, if you can put the ball over the fence, you know what that does? Covers up some warts. Right. They can't even do that.
All right, so next thing we have is Endy. He had a little bit of a setback with his finger, and it spares them not knowing what the hell to do with him for another week or so. What do they do? He didn't hit when he was up here. It seems cut and dry. He should go back to AAA if you ask me. But boy, everything I hear on the broadcast and from the team makes me sound like they're going to jam him right back in to this team and put Henry Davis back down, even though he's become Skenes' personal catcher.
Go ahead, Austin. Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this a lot because, on one hand, it's I don't know. I'd like to see Davis get more consistent at bats, and that's what the team wants. I mean, they're going to give it to him in AAA, and I don't think we need to see anything more from him in AAA at all. But yeah, I don't think this team's going to send Rodriguez to AAA either. And
here's why I ask about what's the point of sending Henry Davis to AAA, and Jim, you can answer this too. What's the point of sending him to AAA? We know he's a catcher now. We've seen it. We know he's the best catcher they have. We've seen that. Mm-hmm. As far as defense goes, he could hit AAA. We've seen it a billion times now. He's not getting opportunity up here to hit. He hasn't latched on yet when he has, although he has been getting hits when they're putting him in the ball game. 1 hit a game. It's not doing anything to his average, but it's, he's doing okay. unless you're planning on getting rid of Joey Bart next year to make room, why do I need Henry to go down and get a ton of at-bats?
Yeah,
Leave him up here to play baseball.
I've been on that train since spring training. I just felt like it was time to let, I keep saying the word, Henry get some traction, whatever that traction is. If it's playing sparingly, figure it out, dude. It's just it's time. I know you haven't been handled all that well, and I'm sorry for that. But it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to rip those slimmies off and see if a kid's not gonna eventually drown. So that's where I'm at with him. I don't think there's a damn thing to be accomplished with him down in AAA at this point.
I mean, Andy can at least play first base, but isn't that going to dry up too, Austin? I mean,
Yeah,
like,
I don't think sending Rodriguez back to the majors would do them any good at all. If they really are serious when they say that they want to win now, who gives you a better chance to win right now? It's Henry Davis. I don't think Rodriguez is nearly polished enough right now to help them win at the major league level. Sure, he has more flexibility position-wise to get more consistent at-bats, but if those consistent at-bats are giving you a 150 player with no pop, who in his little chances we've seen at catcher has made throwing errors, has made all sorts of issues that, you know, he's not a polished player. He's younger than Davis. I mean, send him back to AAA. He missed a whole year last year due to injury. And I mean, I'm sure that affected him in a lot of different ways. Looks like, I mean, I went back and watched clips of Rodriguez from 2 years ago just the other day, and he
totally
looked like
different player.
He had a completely different, like, power looking swing. All that's just gone, and he needs to figure it out. He needs to go back down, and that's a player that will benefit from AAA at bats.
Yes.
I mean, he needs to just get back to playing baseball for months before he's, you know, a consistent major league player. And Davis, I mean, if Davis is a backup catcher right now and he's giving Skenes that comfort as
Real
his personal
Muto was a
catcher,
backup catcher for the first 3 years too.
and
You know, like,
and look how it turned out. I mean,
you have to do it. I think you have to bite that bullet sometimes, and you realize catchers take a lot longer. Like what William Contreras, I think, was on the Braves for 2 or 3 years before he got traded to Milwaukee, you know, and really never got a chance there. And they traded for better catchers in front of him.
It is a position where funny things can happen, you know, with guys that you may have written off a little bit here and there, catcher-wise. I'm talking of offensively, where maybe they didn't turn out to be as good as you thought, but we know at catcher that even if you can supply some of the things you're looking for offensively, there's still a win there. Is it a home run, one of one pick that they nailed? No. But if you could at least just get that out of them, then you haven't totally, you know, blown it with him.
I mean, Henry Davis isn't hitting anything right now. He's got a positive WAR. I mean, he's helping this team win, not in a huge way, but enough that it's valuable to keep him up here. And I think that's
and
as simple
and
as
look,
that.
if Endy looked a little differently at the beginning of the year before he got hurt and not one of the worst hitters in baseball, I'd say, you know what, that's fine. Bring him up, activate him when he's ready. We'll see if he's going to keep it rolling. I think he's missed so much time now over the last, year and a half, not swinging the bat well. I'd put him right back down there and let him have a long go of it.
It seems to make the most sense to me. It just doesn't sound like what they're planning to do. I hope they do. And then Dowry Moretta started a rehab assignment. That'll be nice to get him back, right? Sounds like that reverse slider is going to stay a thing. I was worried they were going to take that away. He talked about taking it away. Sounds like he's changed his mind. So we should see him within relatively short order.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, the bullpen is showing some cracks with some guys starting, you know, I don't know that there's been an update on Justin Lawrence right after the second opinion thing. And it'd be interesting to see where that lands. But that's another good arm to have back in the fold. I like Dory.
Yeah, and Jones is starting to throw too. The
Right.
funny thing is, man, the worst thing that could happen really is that these kids start coming up, like Bubba and Dowry, and Jones comes back, and Horowitz takes off, maybe. Let's just say Horowitz is really good. And then all of a sudden, the team's kind of churning along, and then they don't make any changes because the team actually got better as the season went on, and it had nothing to do with Shelton. To me, it's key they move on from him after this year, one way or another. And if I have to go through another 70 win or 65 win season in order for that to happen, okay. It's not what I want. I hope the kids come on and do some great things. I just hope Bob's smarter than that and sees through it. That's a lot to ask from somebody I don't think is very smart about baseball.
Or hesitant to make moves at the right time, make decisions at the right time. So, listen, before we get out of here, I think I just want to say that I was not at the game the other night with the fan situation and him falling, but I truly hope that there's a good outcome with that. Very serious. Most people behave themselves on social media. Of course, there's always a competition to see who the worst human being is on the planet with that stuff. But terrible thing, awful to see. I just hope that we never have to see something like that again. I hope the dude, I hope as much of a recovery as possible. I hope he makes it.
Certainly hope that everything's okay there. If you're going to get really, really drunk at a game, don't sit up high. I mean, for real. I've seen it happen at Penguins games because those seats are really steep. People get too drunk up in those upper seats and they'll fall down the aisles and whatnot. And luckily, I've never seen anybody get that kind of seriously hurt, but they'll screw themselves up pretty good. Chill on the drinking a little bit, or at least get seats down in the lower bowl if you're going to do it. It's not good. I don't know. Hopefully everything's okay with him. It was certainly a scary sight. I haven't talked about it much because honestly, it's not really my business. It sounds like nobody. It sounds like it wasn't a crime committed here. So as long as there's no crime, it's just a terrible accident, and it doesn't hurt me to hope the guy's okay. You know.
Yeah, that's it. Just let's leave speculation out of it and just hope that something, regardless of what it was, just hope that the person's okay. Is that too hard to say? Is that too much to ask these days?
No, I don't think so. But anyways, Austin, thanks for joining us, man. It was good having your perspective from California too, like from going to those couple games, because I wish that you had been at the game where the LA Angels fans were chanting to sell the team, because I was so curious as to whether Pirates fans started it or if it was Angels fans because they were getting their balls beaten in.
You know, it did seem to be, from what I had heard, it sounded like it was Angels fans. But I mean, I wouldn't doubt that there were some Pirates fans that joined in after the Angels fans started it, or vice versa. I mean, I don't know who started it, but it sounds like at the end of the day, the Angels fans were all on board to get Artie Moreno out of there. So we'll, I don't know, but
maybe it would be fun to go to other stadiums with gear on, their gear, and just start chanting "sell the team" to all the bad baseball teams and see what kind of
or go to a stadium like New York Mets or something and start chanting it there and see how they react. That would be pretty good.
I love it. Hey guys, listen, I know it was sad, but it was a fun talk actually. Therapeutic for me. I think what I learned is they probably needed to do a little bit more than some of us perceived in order to be a good team this year. Some of what we thought was okay isn't. So.
Yep. And Austin, dude, talked to you many times at the games. Love talking to you. Just, Gary, another great example of the people we meet that if they come on the show are going to be good and informative and educated fans. And great job, dude. We'll have you back on.
Hey, I appreciate it. I mean, it's always a blast coming on here. And yeah, I mean, getting the ballpark pass this year. And I know I'm sure I'll see a bunch of you out there in the outfield. I saw you the other night when Pham was jawing with those fans out in left field too. I mean, it's a fun atmosphere getting to see a bunch of games, and especially being young. And there's nothing like, regardless of how good the team is, you know, you're going to see some good games. You're going to see some bad ones. I mean, it's just a fun
It's still
time.
baseball. Still
It is.
baseball.
It's great to just go see some baseball for an evening and get to enjoy a beautiful park. I mean, you can't beat it.
So if we're gonna get rid of Pham, we're gonna need him to badmouth Ben at a game. And that'll send Jim
we gotta
over the wall.
We got to
take care
send
of
Bob
some
Nutting
business.
back out to the rotunda again out and left and see if Tommy Pham can start jawing with him too.
Absolutely,
Man, any way we can get him off the team, I'm all for it. And
I'm down for the Queen just taking a swing with that flagpole when he's driving, running past one time.
Yeah, Randall Simon bratwurst sausage type
I-
incident part 2.
You
Accidents.
can make it look like an accident. You got really into the play. It's not your fault. It'll be all right. All right, everybody. Let's toss it off to Ben. Thanks for joining us.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.